in educational settings, and it's a guide to empower as well the governments and curriculum developers on how ocean literacy can be part of those materials that later are part of the curriculum or the guidelines that the ministries deliver to the schools. In this toolkit, we included very hands-on exercises as well for policymakers so they can understand their scenario and also how their country could benefit from ocean literacy as well, but also how they could adapt their existing policies, for example, for ocean literacy. And we have good practices from Canada, Portugal, Costa Rica, Kenya described in this material. It is also one material that was mentioned during the One Ocean Summit in Brest that took place in 2022, where UNESCO also promoted a call to support the incorporation of ocean education in the school curriculum by 2025 in all its 194 member states. So that's a big step as well to have this call. And the material is currently also translated to English, French, and Spanish on a way that is also more accessible to a big majority of countries. And the Blue Curriculum has as an ambition to support, of course, the inclusion of ocean literacy in school contents, but also support stakeholders to take more informed decisions regarding the ocean, and also regarding ocean literacy and formal education. But also it's a material that do not only talk with policymakers, but also prepare the next generation of blue professionals, because the youth that will be later receiving this content on the schools are the one that probably will be taking a career on oceanography, on biology, or even that will be the artists of the future and will address, for example, the ocean on their pieces. So it's important as well to recognize that the Blue Curriculum, it's an initiative that targets not only governments, but as well the students and the whole educational ecosystem, and it's way broader than that. It's also a material that aims to empower policymakers and the educational stakeholders to take informed decisions about the ocean. And in this material, we created a theory of change for ocean literacy, where we propose different ways in which ocean literacy can be considered. One of those ways in which ocean literacy can be considered is, of course, through knowledge and awareness, but it can be as well through nature connectedness activities. We know that for many schools across the world can be a big challenge to take students to a mangrove, to visit a coral reef, but it's important that they can have this access to those ecosystems, because this can also inspire them to better understand the discipline that was taught in the classroom. And as well, we have another axis on this theory of change for values and attitudes and competences. So we also tackle the behavior aspects that the students can gain from being in contact with a blue curriculum. And a government can as well map their national priorities. So they can, for example, one country that has as a priority to invest in blue growth for the next years. This blue curriculum of the country can be in contact with blue growth, can provide examples of marine professions, but also put students more in touch with the marine environment, or make more visits to research centers. Or a country that, for example, has a priority to protect intangible heritage can as well work with a blue curriculum aspect and promote, for example, fisheries techniques that are disappearing or in the curriculum. So there are many ways in which those matrix can be combined. There are endless possibilities, and each country will also decide on the way that this type of initiative can take place. We are seeing as well at the moment a very interesting approach with the Blue Schools Global Network. So we launched this year a Blue School Global Network. Raquel is also supporting us to manage the network with the many countries that are part. And the main goal of this network is also to support the countries to establish and sustain their national Blue Schools networks by offering technical and specialized advice. We also strengthen the collaboration because there are many Blue Schools network across the world, but we are also creating this platform so they can exchange, they can exchange practices, they can talk between coordinators to coordinators. And is also a place for us as UNESCO also to collect the data to support annual reports and understand the numbers that are behind of this type of project and the impact it generates on the students. So we say today that also the Blue Schools are a path for a Blue curriculum. And it's also not about the numbers, but the impact it generates in every student, teacher, and school part of this community. Raquel just brought incredible examples. But we have at the moment 23 countries that are part of the network. Some are in a very initial stage, starting their Blue School network on a path for a Blue curriculum. Others are more advanced. So, for example, creating already the certifications for the schools, and it shows how different it can be for diverse contexts to implement a Blue curriculum and a Blue School initiative. And there are many diverse possibilities. So I would also recommend the country that is interested on this type of initiative to first study how to establish a national coordination of Blue School, and then also, of course, be in contact with us so we can support in the way that is possible. We see many different types of coordinations appearing now in the Blue School network. Some have schools as coordinators, others NGOs, others government. We see that when we have as well a government as part of the coordination, the project gain a lot of traction. So it's always important to have the political support in this sense. But it's a very interesting landscape for the Blue Schools and for the Blue curriculum. And it's quite ample because it's not only about education as well. So the schools can as well promote partnerships with the communities, partnerships with the local enterprises, and everyone can benefit of this type of initiative when we talk about Blue education.
Yeah, thank you so much, Ana Victoria. Really exchanging experiences is key to understand what's the scope of ocean literacy. So thank you so much for sharing your insights with us.
Thank you.
Now I would like to give the floor to Shweta Naik. She's Executive Director of Jane Goodall Institute India and also member of the Ocean Literacy Group of Experts of IOC UNESCO. Hello, Shweta, how are you? So you have been promoting ocean literacy educational initiatives in non-formal and informal contexts through beach cleanups in Tanzania, through Oceans Are Us, which is the project you are leading for the Jane Goodall Institute in India, and now through ocean literacy dialogues that will take place in Mumbai in November. Congratulations. So, Shweta, what are the key outcomes and benefits of promoting ocean literacy initiatives beyond formal education, and how do these activities impact the diverse audiences they reach? We cannot hear you. You have to take off your mute. Thank you.
Namaste, everyone. Thank you, Danelia, and big thanks to Patricia. I come from a country where blue economy is more popular and a known term than ocean literacy, or rather, I would say blue curriculum and blue schools. Thus, I feel there is a huge opportunity for ocean literacy with all. And Venice Declaration clearly gives us so much clarity and also a commitment to respect our ocean. According to ocean literacy with all, and what we had with Venice Declaration, the welfare of mankind and welfare of ocean is inseparable. Hence, we cannot afford to address concepts of ocean literacy only to those enrolled in formal education, especially in a country like India, that would leave our thousands of children and youth out of the conversation. In any case, over the last few years, as our understanding of the ocean and its impact grows, the need is for an immediate awareness at all levels of society. We cannot wait for action by next generation that comes out of the formal education system, though we really feel that there is a lot of need for setting up the formal education system, which includes blue curriculum. Bringing diverse groups into the conversation also harnesses diverse knowledge and solution that adds to the growing research on the ocean and open new and multidisciplinary solutions to ocean conservation. Finally, the ocean is one. Oceans are us. It belongs to all of Earth's creatures and all nations. Extending it out of formal education makes it a more broad-based, inclusive initiative rather the top-down approach of formal education. So I feel that it's really important that we include all sections of the society into this conversation and involve them for the more immediate action. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Sheta. Namaste. Now I want to give the floor to Diz Ditero. She's the Executive Director of the Canadian Ocean Literacy Coalition and also co-chair with Nicola Bridge of the United Nations Ocean Decade Vision 2030 for the Challenge 10 white paper. So Diz, welcome. This Challenge 10 white paper aims to restore society relationship with the ocean. Besides that, it recognizes the ocean literacy as a central to implement or to operate Challenge 10 and identifies policymakers and also industry and businesses as two key sectors that should support pro-ocean behavior. So consider the goals of Challenge 10. What specific ocean literacy initiatives should be designed for policymakers and corporate leaders across various sectors to enhance their decision-making responsibilities toward ocean sustainability? How could this initiative positively impact ocean health and sustainability? The floor is yours.
Thanks so much, Daniela, for your question and your welcome. And hello to my fellow panelists and to all participants in today's webinar. Thank you, Patricia, for this invitation. It's certainly a pleasure to be here with all of you. Before speaking on potential ocean literacy initiatives that are specific to policymakers and corporate leaders, I think it might be helpful to share a couple brief, high-level context setting and key messages from the Ocean Decade Challenge 10 white paper and the importance of societal engagement in ocean health and sustainability. 4 years into the Ocean Decade, with hundreds of endorsed programs, projects, and activities across the globe, the purpose of the Vision 2030 white paper process was to collectively take stock of what's been done so far. And what does success look like in 2030? And not just from an aspirational perspective, but from a roll up your sleeves operational perspective. And then how do we get there together? The Challenge 10 white paper is one of the largest collective and collaborative papers and visioning processes to date in ocean literacy. It brought together over 600 people from 25 countries over a year-long process. And together we co-identified some key drivers, some measurable actions, and the progress indicators that would help us from now to 2030 look at the work that's being done. And this paper and process has directly informed the Venice Declaration that many of the speakers today have already referenced. Indeed, an important declaration and document. I think one of the white paper's biggest contributions, and now having a couple months to look back and reflect on its launch and presentation in Barcelona back in the spring, is that it really helped to position or reframe ocean literacy as a societal outcome, a society that better understands, values, and cares for the ocean. And positioning it as an outcome, it helps us really to understand that it's about increasing motivation, capability or capacity, and opportunity for people across all sectors of society to make decisions and behave in ways that ensure a healthy ocean. It also, I think, for people who aren't within the ocean literacy world, it helped them to look at it slightly differently. And if we take for a tangible example, a national or international financial literacy strategies that exist in many places, it's very similar. The aim of those strategies is a society that has the understanding, skills, capacity, and access to make decisions and behave in ways that build and ensure financial resilience in a changing world. It's also similar to national and international human health and wellness strategies, with those aims of addressing problems that are human behavior driven and thus avoidable to save public funds and benefit society. And so when we think about ocean literacy that way as a societal outcome, it really helps, I think, to see that it's something that requires all sectors across all scales to really lean in. I think the other significant contribution of the white paper was getting the ocean sector, and in particularly the ocean science community, to recognize that much of the focus has been on problems in the ocean. So marine pollution, biodiversity loss, overfishing, acidification, what have you. And these problems, or ocean threats, as they're often referenced as, they're outcomes of human behavior. So the challenge we face is not an ocean problem, it's a people problem. It's not solely about the sustainable management of the ocean and the use of its resources. It's about decision makers and people across all sectors of society making decisions and managing our behaviors in ways that ensure a healthy ocean. Knowledge generation and data, it's not enough. Essential, but not enough. And so we know the science in terms of, what the problems are, and we work hard together on policy, but we're not effectively engaging society and creating the motivation and capability and opportunities to ensure we all act in ways that improve our collective ability to achieve positive outcomes. So for policymakers and industry leaders, as with much of society, there's a need for them to have experiences and opportunities that enable stronger understanding of and connection with the ocean to be fostered, to learn both intellectually and increasingly more emotionally that the value of the role of the ocean in human life, and to recognize that impact of their decisions on the functioning of the ocean, and to link the stewardship of fresh water and local waterways and community well-being to ocean health. It's a one water system. And so just in closing, two thoughts is we do need policymakers and industry leaders to recognize and collaborate on that social science and behavioral research piece so that we can together better understand how to engage a range of societal audiences to create that motivation and build that capacity to act. I think we also need corporate leaders engaging in the consumer base in ocean positive actions and campaigns to help drive that scale of societal transformation required to address the triple planetary crisis that Peter spoke about in his opening remarks. It's an all hands on deck effort, and certainly having opportunities like today that Patricia has created to expand the ocean literacy dialogues and conversations with new audiences in the public and private sector is essential. And I thank Patricia for her efforts and leadership on this behalf. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm sticking to people's problem and everything that you were talking about. Thank you so much, Liz. Please, you stay here with me because now I want to invite the other panelists to come back to our virtual stage so we can answer one last question regarding the recommendations for the G20 leaders and other stakeholders. Please, panelists, you will have 1 minute to answer. So we're starting with Raquel. Raquel, what recommendation can you give to G20 leaders regarding the importance of ocean literacy activities for people from all ages and sectors?
Okay, my answer is very pragmatic. So, in my opinion, G20 leaders must prioritize ocean literacy as a key component of sustainable development. I propose the creation of multi-sectorial task force to integrate ocean literacy into various industry, ensuring tailored training and policies that address specific challenges, such as blue economy or coastal tourism. It will depend on the country. So we should also mandate the integration of ocean literacy into corporate social responsibility initiatives, encouraging businesses to educate their employees and communities about ocean sustainability, for example. To further enhance ocean literacy, I recommend to establish the establishment of ocean literacy certification programs that recognize individuals and organizations committed to ocean-friendly practices, like a stamp. Finally, G20 nations should contribute to our annual ocean literacy impact report to track progress and refine strategies, ensuring continuous improvement and accountability. So invite them to work with us and now ask them funding. So this action could help a lot. That's all.
Thank you, Raquel. A great invitation for the stakeholders and these leaders. And now we're going to with Ana Victoria. What would you recommend? What would be your recommendation for these G20 leaders for implementing blue curriculums in their countries?
Well, the first recommendation, it's, of course, we have a toolkit about that, which is full of recommendations, but I will resume 5 that are also inside of this material. One of them is to map the current ocean literacy initiatives that exist in your country. So people that are working on the ground, NGOs that are already working with ocean literacy, research centers that are developing ocean literacy data collection or research. So understand who is doing this type of initiative locally. Then as well understand the trends in curriculum development, because today also the curriculum is not a very fixed or rigid structure. In many countries it has a whole school approach, it has flexibility. So also understanding what types of trends you could also complement by bringing a blue curriculum to this innovation in your curriculum perspective. And also thinking about the educational spaces, how they can become spaces that allow a blue curriculum to be discussed, but allow also a student to promote behavior changes in the classroom. Another recommendation would be to map the national priorities to understand how a blue curriculum can be mapped, can be connected to current policies, to current educational policies that you have already in place. It could be, for example, with connected to well-being, to climate change, to infrastructure. There are many possibilities because each country has a different priority. Another one would be to consider the theory of change that we rewrote in our toolkit, but also consider the scope and sequence. That's a very important part on how the ocean can be presented, and ocean literacy can be presented to diverse targets of students, from very young students to high schools. And last, think about ocean literacy also beyond the classroom. I know that we are talking a lot about the blue curriculum, but also the blue schools, but ocean literacy is for society as a whole. And it's important to think that sometimes some sustainable behaviors are not fixed or are not implemented because our behavior in society is not sustainable or is not supporting some ocean literacy initiatives. So also thinking about the communities that are benefiting from ocean literacy is essential. And track progress, monitor the actions is as well important, because having as well the numbers of this type of initiative, it's good to understand in which way it's possible to progress or which way we are not achieving any type of results. So those would be my recommendations.
Thank you so much, Ana Victoria. Now we're going with Sheta. What recommendations would you offer to the G20 and other stakeholders for supporting non-formal and informal literacy initiatives in their countries? The floor is yours, Sheta.
I mean, I'm really inspired by the G20 in Brazil, that how fast it went from India last year, G20, and the conversation of ocean literacy is here in this G20. So for us, I would say of course, the blue curriculum is really important, but also put into place opportunities for all kinds of people to engage with the ocean. State-sponsored marine walks, a visitor center on the coast, actively promote marine exhibition in all public spaces. So opportunities for ocean literacy are all around us rather than confined to educational institutions. Second, which is very, very important and very close to my heart, is that many countries, they have huge coastal communities and they come with a lot of traditional knowledge. And what we are noticing is all that knowledge is just going away. So what we need from G20 is support research in documenting and archiving indigenous knowledge of traditional coastal communities and share it in public spaces. The sharing becomes part of ocean literacy with all. Implement research projects, engaging citizen scientists, especially in plastic alternatives and other ocean pollution. This will require citizens to actually engage in fieldwork and understand the impact of our human activities on the ocean. Last, our business communities, government, and other stakeholders should really incentivize that CSR activities, which is a corporate social responsibility in terms of promoting not only blue economy, but about blue education too. Thank you.
Great to hear you, Sheta. So now we're going with this. And what recommendations would you give to G20 leaders and decision makers from the public and private sector to support all these initiatives?
To join the ocean literacy community in co-designing, supporting, and participating in training opportunities, research, and community-centered experiences that strengthen our collective abilities to close the knowledge action gap. Thanks.
I love that invitation. These are very direct. And well, for me, it has been a pleasure to be here with all of you. Thank you so much to all the panelists and the audience. Now we will continue with the moderator of the second panel, Mermaid Diane Payne, who will introduce herself. The floor is yours, Diana. Have everybody a great day.
Gracias, Daniela. Gracias. My name is Diana Payne, and I'm an associate professor at the University of Connecticut and the education coordinator with Connecticut Sea Grant. I also serve as the chair of the Ocean Literacy Committee of the National Marine Educators Association in the United States. I'm a member of the steering committee of OLWA, which you've heard referenced several times today, and the co-chair of the group of experts for IOC UNESCO. I'm really excited to moderate this panel titled Empowering Public Sector Leaders, Ocean Literacy for Sustainable Blue Policymaking. This panel aims to explore how innovative ocean literacy activities can empower public sector leaders to integrate sustainable practices into their policies by deepening their understanding of the ocean's critical role in climate regulation, economic activities, and other key areas. And now I'd like to invite to our virtual stage Dr. Jacqueline Yuku, Senior Research Scientist and Research Coordinator at the Kenya Marine and Fisheries Institute, Chair of the African Ocean Decade Task Force, and member with me of the group of experts of IOC UNESCO. Welcome, Jacqueline. And besides enhancing ocean literacy in the Western Indian Ocean region and strengthening the contribution of ocean science to the blue economic growth, among many other activities, you're the National Coordinator for Marine Spatial Planning in Kenya. So my question for you is, do you believe that policymakers from government agencies and regulatory bodies involved in marine spatial planning could benefit from targeted ocean literacy initiatives designed specifically for them? And how might such initiatives help shape policies that balance ecological, economic, and social objectives in the use of marine space?
Thank you, Diana. I hope you can hear me well.
Yes, we can.
Oh, great. I'm very happy to be here, speaking to you from Mombasa, Kenya. where we are involved as an institution in marine spatial planning. And to just respond to the question that has been posed to me by Diana, yes, I believe that policymakers from government agencies and regulatory bodies involved in MSP could benefit from very targeted ocean literacy initiatives. And I believe this because many of those that are in positions of influence and policy making are often found very far away from the ocean. For instance, I'm from a coastal city, Mombasa, where we're working on MSP issues, but my policymakers are found about 700 kilometers from me inland in a terrestrial environment. Often they do not understand the ocean and its impacts and its contribution to human life. And so it's really important that we begin to communicate ocean matters to them in issues that they're dealing with, sometimes drawing parallels to the terrestrial environment, because that is what they're familiar with. That may be something we need to do, just so that they're able to relate, because I think the key thing is relatability of the information. The other thing that I recognize is the fact that we need to begin to tell positive stories of the ocean. Because in Africa and maybe in other places of the world, the oceans are associated with loss, disease, and historical injustices. For many, oceans are a dark place. They'll tell you, our people went out and never came back, or our people were carried away and we don't know where they went. So it becomes a place that people really do not wish to explore. It becomes a place where there's a lack of understanding. There are lots of myths around it. And oceans, I think, in our culture sometimes are very dark. So I think we need to begin to advocate for a positive story that can go from ocean, those that engage with the ocean and its resources, upwards to policymakers, and also into society as a whole. Thank you.
Thank you, Jacqueline. I think a lot of your comments tie very well back to some of the things that the previous speakers on the last panel were discussing, especially some things that Diz brought up. I know that you have to leave early, so we'll change the way that this particular panel works, and I'll ask you the last question now. What recommendation would you give to G20 leaders on integrating ocean literacy into marine spatial planning to enhance sustainable policymaking?
I think my recommendation would be very simple. Invest, invest, invest. I think 3 times, 100 times if we can. We need to magnify that. Because if we don't invest in communicating the ocean to policymakers and all stakeholders in ways that are relevant to them, then we do nothing. I'm looking at creative arts to communicate the science behind a lot of the work we do. I come from a science background, and many of us that are engaging in ocean literacy are transiting from pure science to looking at how humans and people engage with the science of the ocean. So to make it relevant, we need that investment in processes in the education sector. When I look at policy, I think beyond the investment, we also need to understand how to advocate and who to pull in as allies for the process. I think today we've seen Peter Thompson being a very strong ally. Vladimir has been leading us through IOC as a strong ally. And I think beyond investment, can they become allies for this process? Can they lend their voices to this process? Because when our leaders lend their voices to ocean matters, they take a life, they become alive. It's very easy with a good ally to provide the right messaging to get the positive story out there. So thank you very much for the opportunity. It's a pity I have to go, but I look forward to just listening further to the recording and understanding some of the things we can continue to share. Thank you.
Very good. Thank you very much, Jacqueline. Thank you so much for your contribution, and look forward to seeing you again soon.
Thank you.
Now I'd like to invite to our virtual stage Marina Scherer. Marina is a biologist with a PhD in marine sciences and a professor at the Federal University of Santa Catarina in Brazil for the Integrated Coastal Zone Management and Marine Spatial Planning. Currently, she serves as the Integrated Coastal Zone Management Coordinator at the Ministry of Environment and Climate Change in Brazil. Marina, you have a very extensive background, and I know that you are substituting in for Anna, but I'd like to pose this question to you. In your view, could public sector professionals involved in creating and implementing climate and ocean-related policies benefit from ocean literacy initiatives that are specifically designed for them? And how might such initiatives enhance their effectiveness in these roles? The floor is yours.
Okay, thank you. So first of all, good morning, afternoon, or night to everyone. And also I need to apologize for my voice and the occasional cough. Seems like a naughty cold has decided to join me today. But it's a pleasure to be here with you today to discuss a topic that's not only critical to our work, but also to the future of our ocean and coast. Thank you very much for the invitation. As ocean and coastal managers in Brazil, our challenge is huge. We are responsible for a great and diverse marine environment that plays a vital role in the economic, social, and environmental well-being of our nation. Brazil's coastline stretches over 10,000 kilometers, where about 55 million people live. Our ocean provides food, livelihoods, recreation, and climate regulation, among many other benefits. However, the pressures on these systems are immense, ranging from overfishing and pollution to climate change and habitat destruction. To manage these challenges effectively, we must be well-versed in the science that underpins our ocean's health. For ocean and coastal managers, this understanding is not just important, it's essential. Ocean literacy bridges the gap between scientific knowledge and policy implementation. That's why ocean literacy initiatives that are specifically designed for us is so important. As managers, our role is to translate complex scientific data into strategies that protect and sustain our marine and coastal environments. But this requires more than just an understanding of the science. It requires a deep appreciation of the ocean's role in our national identity, economy, and the global environment. In that matter, I would like to draw attention to scientific projects that have a component on science and policy integration. As an example among many, I could mention Mission Atlantic, a Horizon 2020 supported project. Mission Atlantic provides valuable information for managers like me, linking economic sectors, their pressures, and the impacts on ecological components. I will leave the link for the project in the chat in a minute. By enhancing our ocean literacy and putting a spotlight in the ocean, we are better equipped to engage with stakeholders, including policymakers, local communities, and economic sectors. We can advocate for evidence-based policies that balance economy development with environment conservation. We can also ensure that the voice of those most affected by coastal and ocean management, such as fishing communities and indigenous people, are heard and integrated in our decision-making process. In a country like Brazil, where coastal regions are increasingly vulnerable to climate change, impacts like sea level rise, coastal erosion, and extreme weather events, ocean knowledge becomes a tool for resilience. Understanding the ocean systems allows us to anticipate change and implement adaptive management strategies that protect both our natural resources and the communities that depend on them. For example, informed decisions on where and how to develop coastal infrastructures can reduce the risks associated with rising sea levels and storm surges. Similarly, knowledge of marine ecosystems can guide sustainable fishing practice. Despite the critical importance of this knowledge, a study conducted across 13 coastal nations in Latin America, along with Portugal and Spain, led by the Ibero-American Integrated Coastal Management Network, showed a concerning trend. Among the 10 key components essential for effective ocean and coastal management that were studied, the lack of ongoing capacity building targets at managers was identified as a main challenge in all of these countries. In conclusion, ocean literacy and knowledge are essential to the work we do as ocean and coastal managers in Brazil. They empower us to make informed decisions, advocate for sustainable practice, and build resilient communities. It's our duty to ensure that ocean coastal areas are managed wisely, with the best available knowledge and a deep understanding of their importance. As we continue our work, we should commit to enhancing our ocean literacy and sharing this knowledge with others. By doing so, we can help secure a sustainable future for marine and coastal environments and the people who depend on them. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Marinez. We'll call you back for the final question in a little while.
Thank you.
Right now, I'd like to call to the virtual stage Carmen dos Santos, Minister of Fisheries and Marine Resources from Angola. Alongside your role as Angola's Minister of Fisheries and Marine Resources, you have a robust academic background in ocean-related fields and have taught at several universities. Consistently engaged in educational activities, you also support the coordination of the Blue Schools Network in Angola, which focuses on developing future leaders committed to ocean protection and sustainability. The question for you is, do you believe that ocean literacy initiatives could benefit current leaders and decision makers from various ministries by enhancing their understanding of the ocean's connections to their sectors, such as health, commerce, water, and energy, and by providing them with better tools for responsible ocean protection? Carmen, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Hi, everybody. Of course, absolutely. This question is very interesting. I would like to, first of all, to thank for being invited to participate in this very, very good, excellent meeting about ocean, because the ocean is our passion. So it is essential for achieve global commitments. But first, for us, the national significant objectives, we took about that consideration. We have some issues. First of all, this is the enhance or grow up for understanding of oceans about or from Angola side. We talk about nature. We talk about life, and we talk about some ecosystems who are very important for us. So, for example, we take the Blue Schools for introduce the knowledge about ocean. These Blue Schools start with the partnership with the UNESCO, and we try to get from the child the knowledge about ocean. Second, we need to make some connections, and these connections between the economy. We talk now about blue economy, but before and now also we made some connections between the commerce, for example, about value chains. For example, my concern from fisheries, but we have this interconnection about other policies, policies regarding maybe one. Now we take very complements. We have the policies regarding marine special plane. So we take integrations about these policies. For that, we need to talk around the table about the ocean law knowledge. 30, we have a necessity for the better tools for conservation or for protection ecosystem. And we provide for that leaders for work within concerns about who they protect. We want the other people when they talk about ocean, when they talk about conservation or protection the ecosystem or species, they know everything about their mothers, so they can manage it, these kind of conservation tools, if they know about knowledge oceans. So it is we promotion the innovations. The innovation, it is the key for we spread quickly this kind of knowledge. So we also work about global collaborations. So we made some kind of declaration. We following, of course, the declaration, international declarations, and we profit the collaboration in countries, bilateral, and with agencies between United Nations concerns. So it is important for us. We take so much benefits about the ocean knowledge.
Thank you, Carmen. Thank you. Innovations, collaborations, all excellent points that we certainly need to focus on. I'll call you back in just a few minutes, but at this time, I would like to welcome my friends Yoshi Sasaki to the virtual panel. Yoshi is professor in the Department of Marine Policy and Culture at Tokyo University and is president of the Asia Marine Educators Association. Yoshi, for many years, you have been deeply engaged in ocean literacy initiatives aimed at students, teachers, and communities. However, after your family was directly affected by the Great East Japan earthquake and tsunami in March 2011, you worked extensively to help with the coastal community's reconstruction. So my question to you, sir, is how can marine educators and ocean literacy professionals collaborate with governments on disaster prevention and the reconstruction of coastal areas affected by extreme events? The floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Diana. And thank you very much inviting me to this conference, Patricia and all. Welcome to my presentation. And let's discuss about promote ocean literacy in the world. So my answer is that at first the conclusion, and after that my story talking. So answer is Marine educators and ocean literacy experts continue to work as volunteers in Japan. This is a great initiative and plays an important role in community development and resilience. However, it is not usually covered as a subject in school education, and there are no ocean literacy experts who can promote ocean citizenship as a profession to the general public. The Japanese government and public have no opportunity to become interested. So I will tell you about my experience at tsunami and what happened to my family and community. More than 60 years ago, I was born and raised in the small fishing town 200 kilometers from Tokyo in the Tohoku region of northern Japan. I wanted to somehow rehabilitate the area through the ocean, so I became a teacher at a fisheries high school. I specialized in aquaculture and ecology. What I felt was, even though it was a fishing town, almost of the citizens were not interested in the ocean, or there was walls or thresholds that were too specialized for the general public to enter. A number of experts, such as fishermen, was also decreasing. So I felt the need to improve ocean's citizenship. In 2006, I left my family behind and moved to Tokyo University of Marine Science Technology to promote the ocean literacy. So after joining NMEA in August 2006, I established an ocean literacy education specialist training course at the university. This training course was designed to promote ocean citizenship through collaboration between the university and local community. At that time, the Great East Japan earthquake occurred in 2011, and cities and towns along the 200-kilometer coastline suffered great damage. The casualties exceeded 20,000. My family was also at risk. We lost our homes and narrowly escaped death. The Japanese government and most cities and towns had not conducted sufficient awareness-raising activities. This tsunami damage made me realize again the need to expand ocean citizenship through ocean literacy education. So feeling the need for international cooperation, I founded EMEA, Asia Marine Educators Association, in 2015. I continue to work on ocean literacy, human resource development, and ocean literacy education and research activities. That's all.
Thank you, Yoshi, for sharing that story. I know it was quite an experience, and I'm glad that you were able to find your family and continue forward because we really value your place in this community. Yoshi, I'll ask you to stay here with me, and I'll invite Marines and Carmen to turn their cameras back on for the final question. The last question is regarding recommendations for the G20 leaders and other stakeholders, and you'll each have 1 minute to answer. So Marines, I'll begin with you. What recommendation would you offer to the G20 leaders regarding the integration of ocean literacy into public policy development and implementation?
Thank you for the question. So I think G20 leaders should invest in communication and capacity building tailored for policymakers. It means to map national needs and design focused activities. And more than that, it is essential to ask managers how they want it to be delivered, because sometimes we provide a training or a communication that doesn't really get to the managers. In addition, encouraging international collaboration on ocean literacy and encouraging also exchange of good practice is a very good way to promote ocean literacy among managers. Let's talk among us. Let's discover how we can help each other and how we can learn from each other. This will for sure enhance our ability to address complex challenges like climate change. Thank you.
Very good. Thank you,
Oh,
Marinas. Carmen, question for
yes,
you.
yes.
Yeah.
I think Marina take the flow for me, but I can I
That's good.
totally agree. But I can say, of course, to reinforce it, we need to for the pass the message for the leaders G20 to integrate the ocean literacy in our education systems, to enhance the capacity building and the training programs, to make the policies integrated, this kind of because these was the policies was the baseline for the all people do the better things to do, and support the researchers and innovation based in international collaboration. This is urgent to do. This is very, very strong, some task very strong to do. And the least but not last, we need to pass the message about the engage the communities. Start in local communities, engagement for do the right things about ocean and about our necessities, but start to put together the international community, engagement of public and private sectors, engage the people, engage the people like the countries, the continents, and maybe we can stay in same stage all of us. So leaders from G20, we are here, we are people, we need to engage all of us. Thank you so much.
Wonderful, wonderful, Carmen. Thank you so much. Yoshi, what recommendations would you offer to the G20 and other stakeholders for supporting non-formal and informal ocean literacy initiatives in their countries? Oh, you're on mute, Yoshi.
Okay.
There you go.
Okay. Thank you.
Yes.
So, my answer is the ocean literacy in promoting disaster prevention and coastal resilience is a very important topic. However, as I mentioned earlier, there are no ocean literacy experts who can play the role of coordinators who can promote ocean citizenship. Ocean literacy experts need to be trained and